Welcome to the real journey of the entrepreneur. The journey of any entrepreneur begins with a decision, then writing down your vision, then the execution of that vision. It is not for the faint of heart. It is for those who understand how powerful your mind is and that you can truly create the life that you deserve. It does require a unique formula that includes belief in yourself, a lot of consistency, connecting with an OG, a lot of tears, missing out on a few events and things, and taking a whole lot of risks that will allow you to see your vision and dream come to pass. This journey of the entrepreneur is from the perspective of a wonderful mother, a business owner, whose goal is to break generational barriers and normalize the process of wealth building and financial wellness through entrepreneurship, all while creating a social and give back along the way. I am sharing this journey with you and invite you to share this process with me. Let's do this together. Your decisions, my own, but you have to feel comfortable to own it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I will always support you.
Thank you.
Well, hello there, good people. I am so excited to have you join us today, and we are back with another episode of The Real Journey of the Entrepreneur. So, if you have been paying attention over the past few weeks, we have interviewed a number of dynamic entrepreneurs who have the courage to really share what their process is. I always say that entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart, but you also can't be a punk and be an entrepreneur. Like, you can't. It's just not going to work these days. But you are joining at a time where I have the best seat in the world because I get to interview some of the most amazing and courageous entrepreneurs who just so happen to have embarked on a dream of theirs to be able to run and go and fulfill this legacy that they're looking to create within themselves and also for generations to come. Today, I have the opportunity to learn from an OG. Now, y'all probably like, who is this OG that Anita is going to be bringing to the table? Well, when you 20 years in the business, yup, you're an OG. You are one who have some skin in the game, who have some real stories to tell about entrepreneurship. And I get the privilege to interview Mr. Janneh Wright, one of an amazing just amazing. I cannot wait to share with my audience who Janneh Wright is as a CEO of Primus Business Management. Janneh has more than 2 decades, but don't look a day over 20, but 2 decades of experience leading in finance and administrative departments within nonprofit and also within his own business. What's so amazing about this journey of being 20 years in is that Janneh has founded several startups. So not only has he have this established business for himself, he has helped to create other small businesses. So that means that he really can teach us something today about what business looks like after being in it for 20 years. So if you all don't have your pen and papers ready, if you don't, get your phone, get your piece of paper, get your tea, your water, and pull up a seat because I would love to introduce to you all to this platform, Mr. Janneh Wright. Hey, Janneh.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you
How you
doing?
doing?
Good. I'm good.
I am probably more excited than you know, but we are going to jump right into it because I obviously did not read your entire bio. So, welcome to the show and tell us a little bit of something that's not in your bio, or if you want to elaborate more about who you are as a whole.
Sure. So, what's not in my bio is I am a first generation American. I was actually born in Guyana, South America. I've been in America longer than I've been in Guyana. I came over here when I was 8 years old. My family moved to East New York, Brooklyn, and I lived there for most of my life until I went away to college in 2000 and, no, 1997, I think, so I went to college. And from there, it's just coming back, realizing what the environments are around me, and just trying to create things and businesses and help my community in any way I can. I think that's the basic premise of every business I've ever created. It's all about how do I use the knowledge that I've amassed over the years to give back to my community, being that I'm a financial guy.
All right. So you hinted on your startup. So what was your reason for starting your business?
So it was really I think like what everybody's going through right now, right? Something happened in the environment. You have to make a decision on what you're going to do, right? So I graduated college in 2001. I stayed up at school a little longer, and then there was one place that I wanted to work, right? Going to in high school, my aunt worked in the World Trade Center. I used to go there and meet up with her all the time. So when I was ready to leave school, I'm like, all right, I'm going to work in the World Trade Center. I'm going to send all my resumes out, and then 9/11 happened, right? And for everyone who was in that time period, financial, economics, accounting, all those. When you came back to New York City from college, what you realized was most of the companies that were financial in the city either froze hiring or they pretty much left the city, right? And I wasn't ready to leave the city yet. And I also was not in the mentality of, I have a degree, I'm going to use it, I'm going to find a way to make sure I'm always going to push it. While a lot of my classmates were taking jobs at like Circus City and all these other places, I maintain like I'm going to use the degree I had. So I started doing accounting in my neighborhood. I started doing helping the neighborhood companies like just get their books in order. I started helping them as I'm in there. I'm starting to help them with setting up their computer systems and setting up their HR system, just off the knowledge I gained from college and from some other friends. And after a while, it kind of became this situation where I became like the business handyman, right? I can fix almost anything inside your business. So I got called to do stuff with computers, fix files, bill the government, bill this person, collect this money. And what ended up happening, I started really looking at these business owners and realized what I'm doing is a niche, right? It's a really needed practice because people start businesses off of the love of a practical process that they do, right? Mechanics think they want to be a mechanic so they can start a mechanic business, and that's what ends up happening. And then there's the Rich Dad Poor Dad book called it the Entrepreneur Seizure, right? Like you're doing this for so long, so you think you can do a business of it, but not realizing that there's a business side to the business that you need to do. And a lot of people who I work with, they love what they do, but they didn't realize that there's a whole business aspect. So I stepped in with Primus to be that business aspect. So we started doing all back office services for small businesses. And after a while, what we started to do was really, really narrow down on these four basic parts, right? So it's accounting, HR management, administrative services, and then business strategy. Because those we feel are the core for success in your business, right? Those are you know your company, you know your industry. We know business. And if you can get that business thing solidified, the success rate for your business skyrockets. So that's how I started. That's where it came from. It's really just, seeing the environment around you and pivoting and not losing focus on what you want to do.
So you hit on some key things that I think that I see often as a business coach is understanding the operations behind your business, understanding money,
Yes.
and really separating the resources and the revenue that you make within your business with personal. But then you talked about HR. So I want to actually come back to that. But I'm curious about um, how you decided on your business structure initially and what were your startup costs starting now as an OG 20 years in the game. I'm sure that the changes have been a little bit, but can you just describe that process for those who may want to follow in your footsteps?
Sure. So I'm gonna start with startup costs, right? I'm a consultant. My startup cost was a computer, right? That's it, right? So there was no need for me to have an office building. There was no need for me to hire people because at first it was literally just me with my computer next to me at all times, and I'm working on things. As we start to really to see the company and start to see where we can take it, right? The structure started to become clear. As a business owner, even though I am the most knowledgeable person in my company for every single aspect of my company, I can't run every single aspect of my company. So I need to start finding people who can take certain things off of me. Uh, Nowadays, I tell people this, but I realized that as a younger person, I didn't realize what I was doing. But the reality is, you take assessment of your skills and your abilities. You take assessment of what you're good at, how you do it, and just really understand where it is. Then you take assessment of what does your business need, right? And you have two options at that point. Either hire to take on the skills that you possess, so that way you don't have to do it, and then you can focus more on the business needs, or you hire for the business needs. Now, for me, is I need to know every part of my business and how it works, and really be part of the system to create it. So I started hiring to take on the responsibilities I had so that I can focus on the other parts. So I've become better at sales, right? Because my business needed sales. And instead of me hiring a salesperson who can't talk about my business the way I can, I needed to go into that department. So as I'm hiring accountants and hiring HR and hiring admin, that way I don't have to do that work anymore. I can now concentrate on the growth and sales and structure and develop the systems in my companies to make sure that the growth of it is going to be there.
That requires trust, though.
It does. It requires a lot of trust, but it also requires proper interview skills, right? Like it's there's a book I'm reading right now called Traction, right? And I love the way he put it of developing skills or understanding what people need and understanding the people that you have and putting the right person in the right seat for your business and developing the right seat for your business, right? So as you're developing and figuring out what that seat is you want, and then going after to find the right person for that seat, understand that what the values that you put out there, the values of your organization, the values and ethics of yourself, you need to mirror that in the person you're talking to and ask the questions for that person to get the answers you need, right? No more yes, no questions in interviews, none of that. You need to ask really deep and into investigative questions to ensure that you get the answer that you want. You want to know if the person is going to be a good leader. You want to know if this person has the same level of ethics and values as you. So when you do that and you find that person that you can hire, the trust part becomes easier, right? You still got to manage them. You still got to meet with them once a week and talk through what's going on. But that hiring process is the first part to ensuring that you get the right level of trust with the person you bring on to take over your job.
All right. So, follow-up question. How did you know that you were a good manager?
I don't think I still know. I think part of management is is I don't like to micromanage, right? So that's not a good manager. Part of management is seeing your team excited about the things that you're talking about as you are, right? You're going to encourage, you're going to train, you're going to always give them the ability to get to that next level. And the reason for that, and I'll tell you this, there was a company I worked with, and when I came on, the person who was supposed to train me um, was so scared of my abilities that she kept certain things to herself, right? So she didn't want to give me all the knowledge so I can be as successful as I can, right? That is a bad manager, right? Understand that when you hire the right person and you train the right person, in their mindset, their job, and I tell all my man, anybody who's ever managed me knows this one thing about me. My job is to make you look good. So your job is to give me all the knowledge to ensure I make you look good. So for my mentality of being a manager is I'm going to download every single piece of knowledge onto you because I know you're going to leave in 3 years. I know you're going to leave in 5 years. That doesn't matter to me. While you're here, you're going to give me your all because I'm going to give you everything I got. Right. And for me, that's what the management situation. That's how you become a good manager. You have to understand that people, they're going to leave. No one is going to stay at a job for 20 years. This is not 1970s. This is the reality is you got 3 to 5 years and they're gone. You can hold on to everything and pay this person a whole bunch of money and have them do half the work while you do the other half. Or you put your all into this person so that 3 to 5 years that they're there with you are the greatest 3 to 5 years you got, and you can move forward from there.
Now, that's a great tip. This is not about holding information. So I appreciate that. And I definitely agree about the micromanaging because I hated it and I don't like to,
You ain't got time for that. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
no, it's an experience that you specifically as business owners, like you want to be able to, have a project, talk it over, be supportive, get guidance, get and also learn, because a lot of times through projects you learn from your team members as well, and then
Yeah,
move on. But I can't tell you how to cross T's, dot I's, use punctuation marks. It just
yeah,
doesn't work like that. And makes me think about those who actually have that as a practice. Like, what are you doing with your time?
yeah. You will not survive, right? There's the whole subject of delegating, right?
Mhm.
You will not survive if you micromanage people. It's going to be eventual that person is going to find other place to work, or they're going to hate working for you and they're going to leave. So you're spending money. You're paying this person a salary. Why spend the time? How much more things can you be doing than watching every single letter this person writes? How
Yeah.
much more money you can go get than wasting time by being on top of somebody? Oh, you're not doing this right. I tell people all the time, my entire philosophy is I want to get from here to here, right? As long as you get me to the end point, I don't care. Just get me here. You got a week, you got a day, you got 2 days. This is where I want you to get me. As long as I don't like, I have daughters now, so I'm and older nieces, and I'm watching how they're teaching them math in school, right? It's completely different from what we learned, right? We learned math. 1 plus 1 is 2. There's no conversation about, oh, is the one nice or happy? I don't care about none of that. All I care about is get to the answer and we're good to go. If you want to make sure the person puts the right number in the right place, you're wasting a lot of time. And if you start thinking, I think one of the best things that I got taught in college was the idea of opportunity cost, right? So if you think of what opportunity cost is, it's you take what your salary is, what you think the value of your time is, and put it to a number, right? If you spend 30 minutes micromanaging somebody, that means you just wasted 30 minutes of that value, and whatever that number is, that's how much cash you just threw in the garbage.
Yep.
So start thinking through that. Every time you want to do something that's absolutely not necessary for you to do, put a value on it. If it's $100 an hour, how long are you going to waste $100? How much time of the $100 you're going to waste? Or just teach the person one time, and then you can keep the $100 in your pocket because you don't have to be micromanaging them all the time.
You know what? So I like that you're putting time and connecting time and also resources, financial, connecting the dollar to time, right? Because most business owners don't think that way. So I want to do like a follow up question in terms of um, the overall how do you focus on your business operations? What systems do you support clients with, specifically as at startup level? Because you've been in a space where you started alone, and you didn't have all the systems in place, but now that you have a lot more experience. Like, for someone starting up, what could that look like? Some real basic things that they should have, at least within like the first year or so of them starting. Because, as you know, a lot of times most startups don't really have the initial cash infusion that they need.
Yes.
So, just realistically, what could that look like?
So I'll say there's two different parts, right?
Mhm.
The first part, and it makes sense. It costs money, but the importance of it is cannot be understated. Project management tool, right? Whether you see them all over the internet now, whether it's Monday or Smartsheet or one of those, that project management tool took Primus from an infant to a teenager running full speed down the hill, right? Because the reality of everything that you're doing before that project management tool is in your head. As you start to do more and more stuff, I'm sorry to tell you, your memory is gonna go like nothing else. You're gonna forget things. It's gonna bother you. You can wake up in the middle of the night like, oh crap, I forgot to do something. But once you get that project management tool and you start really using it and making it become the backbone of your organization, that means everything that you have to do is written down in there. Every person you have to contact, every single aspect of your business is written down in that tool. And that tool sends you emails saying, hey, Anita, this is due tomorrow. You got to get it done on time. Hey, send this to this person. Once you have that thing, it kind of feels like an assistant, right? It kind of feels like a very inexpensive assistant to you. But that project management tool is of the utmost importance when you're starting out a business, because you're going to forget a lot of things, and you need to make sure that you're always on top of it. Because if you're working with clients the way I do, me forgetting to do Anita's taxes, she's going to fire me today. And that's not, it's not practical, right? But having a tool that tells me, hey, Anita tax is due next week, then my team is on it and it starts to move through. And that same tool it grows with your company, right? So when we first got it, it was just me reminding myself of things. Now it's me putting things on my team's project management list, and then putting things on mine that it need me to do. So there's no more need for a face-to-face conversation when it comes to projects or the clients, because we're putting inside this tool, and the tool is being the connector between us, making sure things are being done. So that's one. On the other side, the thing that I learned very late in doing business is that we are salesmen. Every business owner, CEO, is a salesman. Same concept. You cannot be a good salesman without a database of who you're talking to and being able to track the conversations you've had and if you send them a proposal. So finding a CRM program, the one I'm using right now is called Method CRM. And I personally love it. I think it's a great tool. But it helps me track not just my proposals, not just the conversations, but proposals that go out through it. It helps me track all the information of when the last time I spoke to someone, or those kind of conversations. So find the right tool that matches you is important. So I think those two aspects, those two tools for any business as you're starting, is a must-have.
And so I wanted to follow up with the hard question about finances, right? It's such a strange, not really a strange thing. I was not taught at my kitchen table or within my family about finances. I myself came from the financial services industry. I started out as a bank teller and then moved through the ranks, back office and, all that's how I learned, right? By working in the industry. And what I discovered is that within my business, I took those same practices because I was familiar with finances, financial services management. I was able to, when I started my business, immediately separate, business from personal, even though I didn't have much in the beginning. And so, how important is for one to tell a story through their bookkeeping or their finances? Like, how do you tell a story about what a person does? I mean, you can immediately look at it and say, well, okay, you have these, ebbs and flows, and
Mhm.
this season. What does that look like in terms of telling a story, and how important is, keeping good bookkeeping for the startups?
It is, if you don't, it can literally be a death sentence to your company, right? Um, Financial management is, there's different levels, and my company, we are that overdose level of how we look at financials. So when you think about financials, one, yes, they're not they're not part of your regular regular cadence of financial management, because the way we talk about finance in the accounting world is a little bit different, right? Debits and credits really have more to do with timing than with how much cash is in your pocket. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that for financial statements. There's a reason for that when you're going after loans for banks. There's a reason for that when you're trying to gain money to run your business. So when you're talking about financial management, when you're talking about how do you really be able to read the ebbs and flows of your company, a really good accountant can look at your last 5 years financials and give you a really good estimate of where you're going to be next year, right? And it's based on how your money moves in and out of your company, and how you really track the expenses and how you really track everything else. So when you talk about what is the best level of financial management, is really going down to understanding every single project that you have, is it profitable, right? Not just is your organization profitable, but every single project. Because what ends up happening is you can have a project that's 100% all profits, and another project that's losing you money, but then together it looks like you're in a good position. But then you're not understanding that that project that's losing you money, you have a bunch more behind it. So then eventually you're going to be in a deficit, right? So understanding each and every project, understanding the cash flow of each and every project in your company is so crucial to understanding which one of these you're going to spend more time on, right? Part of Primus narrowing it down to those 4 items is that we used to do marketing and branding, which was not profitable for us, right? So why do I keep having staff, or why do I keep going after these projects if we can't really assess the real value of it? So when we dropped it, we became a lot more profitable organization, because one, we're able to focus our resources on these 4 items that we're really good at, and not waste any more time on things that are not. So when you think about financial management, you really got to think of don't think of your wallet. That's what people do a lot, right? They think of, oh, I have cash in the bank, therefore I'm profitable. That is not accurate, right? Cash in the bank means that you have money. Whether you got the money from getting a loan, or you got that money because of an investment, or you got that money because last year you had a real profitable year, but this year you're losing money, it's not the same thing. So looking at that P&L statement is of utmost importance. Understanding what that net profit is for that year period is utmost important. Looking at the balance sheet, seeing how much cash is in your bank account, seeing how much equity you have at the bottom of your balance sheet, those are the things that you need to really focus on, because they tell a story about your company, and it tells you where you are and how much money and how much runway do you have of cash to run operations into next year. And I'll tell you this, I became into a position a couple of years ago where I didn't have enough cash to run operations, right? And at that point, you go through really, it's a nerve-wracking situation, thinking that you have a bunch of staff members that you have to pay salaries to. So what do? Do you shut down doors and run away, or do you sit back, figure out a new game plan, and then start up again? If I wasn't tracking my money, I'd be in a position where a lot of companies are, who are 40, 50, $300,000 in debt, because they weren't really looking at the numbers. They weren't really looking at where the revenue was coming in, and they weren't really looking at where the profitability of each individual project was. So then they can really make assessments and make good judgments of what the next steps are for their company.
So for those who don't know what a P&L is, would you mind just briefly sharing what that is? Because I know what it is, but I don't want to. You're the expert right now.
Sure. So there's three major financial reports inside of any accounting system. The profit and loss, which is the P&L, which literally tells you what exactly at a certain time period, right? It doesn't carry over years. You choose a time period. So if your fiscal year is January to December, it will show you, excuse me, all the revenue for January to December. It's not talking about anything in the past or anything in the future. It's a finite period. The balance sheet, just to add to that, is the cumulative of every year that you're going. So it's a cumulative number. It keeps rolling over. It adds in, your bank account goes up and down. That's being cumulative. That's what a balance sheet tells you. What's the worth of your company and all the assets you have. The cash flow statement is another bigger headache, so I'm not even going to go into that one. But if you learn it very well, it's a good tool to help you understand where your cash is coming from, right? Whether the cash in your business is because of investments or because of actual revenue, you can start to see it. But it's a much more detailed report, and you should definitely learn it as a business owner. Learn it and understand it, but it's a much harder thing to understand than the P&L and the balance sheet.
And that's why you have to hire someone, understand it, but you hire someone with a lot more experience to help you through the process. Specifically, that is something that could be, once you understand it, could be outsourced so that you can focus on growing and developing the business. So, as we wrap up, I want to just ask a couple of questions. Where could we find your organization in terms of like getting resources? If we needed to hire you, what do we do?
Sure. So one, you can go to the website. It's primusco.com. So www.primusco.com. We're also online, but if you really need to talk to us, go to Primus and send us an email, or just send us an email to info@primusco.com as well. We also, the phone number is 212-328-0138. And the one thing about my organization is we are here as an organization who likes to help. My to the detriment of my team, everybody else, I give away a lot of free information. So if I have a question, just call. You'll definitely answer it for you without any there's a $50 initial consultation fee. We don't do that. I want to see businesses grow. It's part of who I am as a business owner. So send us an email, send a call, and we'll chat.
So you mean to tell me you're not going to charge somebody just for a phone call?
No.
That means you ain't doing good business, sir.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It's like I also people, what goes around comes around, right? That old adjective, it makes sense, right? I have gotten clients today from a nice deal I did 10 years ago. It goes around. Like you're trying to be the charge people every single 5 seconds of your time. You're not investing in your business. You're investing in your wallet, and that will never ever be the benefit to your company.
And so on that note, I want to thank you for, taking time out of your schedule to support and teach us a lot, because I was like taking notes, but I didn't want people to kind of like see my head down way too much. But I was taking notes. and hope that you all were too. So please make sure that you check out Janneh's organization at Primus Management. Definitely like, share, follow. If you are heavy on social media, they are in that space as well.
Yeah.
And we would love to have you come back and talk about some other things that you're getting into. So
Okay.
stay tuned because Janneh will be back. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And so I am telling you that we have some really amazing, amazing, amazing entrepreneurs. I mean, 20 years in the game, I'm telling you, that is in itself something that you should really um, be proud of. Because again, entrepreneurship is not for the faint of heart at all. You cannot absolutely be a punk and be an entrepreneur. So, on that note, I want to share some resources that we have that I'm familiar with because, you know, we are about providing information to all and resources, etc., to you so that you can have. A lot of this is, free research that you can look up yourself, but, it's here. We have the space for it. So, I want to just share as I've been doing some of the chambers of commerce. Most you can find and get resources there. A lot of these chambers are membership based. However, you can take an opportunity of some of the free resources that are connected, right? You also have the opportunity for the New York City Small Business Resource Network does provide one-on-one services support. You can take advantage of looking into that. Also wanted to share the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce has a certification that you can add your business to. Again, this is really about sharing resources and information within the spectrum of entrepreneurship. I also wanted to plug, Janneh has has an organization called the Black Capacity Alliance. I'm sorry, the Business Capacity Development Alliance is BCD Alliance. I'm actually a member, and it's also where you can come be a part of a mastermind group. They have a number of events coming up. When we talk to Janneh again, we're going to focus in on how that organization helps to support entrepreneurs. But membership, it's a way to connect. It's a way to share with other like minded individuals. So please take advantage of supporting the organization at Business Capacity Development Alliance. So I have one more thing for you. And that is just to share some other information, community announcements specifically for entrepreneurs. Please stay tuned, stay locked, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for joining and stay tuned for the announcements.